Hey, it's Dean with Sear Performance. We're here. We're going to install the Holley Terminator X today. So I got everything laid out on the table. I went ahead and plugged the pigtail in for the wideband. And then I made a bracket, started to make a bracket for the ECU out of like an aluminum sheet plate. I haven't cut it down because I'm probably going to end up mounting like some relays and stuff on it. But I did go ahead and mount the handheld, which we'll show you in a minute. But we're going to start with the injector harness, and we'll put that on. And there's two injector harnesses, and they're labeled even and odd. So obviously your evens 2, 4, 6, 8, and your odds are 1, 3, 5, 7. So we'll go ahead, we'll go over to the truck, we'll put that on, we'll be right back. Alright, so we're back over here. I got the injector harness looped in how I run my wires. I run them behind the rail. I have my injectors facing inbound, I guess you can call it. So on this side, this is your 1, 3, 5, 7. And on the injector plug, you can see there's like a piece of heat shrink tube, and it's labeled injector 2. This one's labeled injector 4. That's 5. And then 7. Okay, that's 7. And then go to this side. 2. 4. 6. Almost 8. Okay. 8. So that's it for the injectors. So this is the harness for them. And I'll figure out if I'm going to put it inside the cab or if I'm going to have it hooked up out here. Now I'm going to go and get the rest of the harness and get it laid out. Might reach if I put it in front of the dipstick.
Come on, I'll be pretty nice, dude.
Oop, I got fuel leaking. It's okay.
Too flippin' short, man. Oh, I see. freaking sweet.
So everything's all plugged in. Crank sensor was awesome. Went right in. No issues. And then there are 2 grounds that come off each coil. And they go to the back of the cylinder head. And they are labeled 2 cylinder head. Right there's the little label. And it says ground to cylinder head only. Nope. I don't know where it went.
I don't see it.
Yeah, no, it's there. Trust me. But you ground those to the back of the cylinder heads. So I'll tighten those bolts up real quick and then we'll come right back and we'll start working on the inside, which is simple. There's just a couple of wires and then the main harness to the battery. So we'll be right back. Should have got a longer bolt. Could have been here for a week. Alright everybody, so I ended up, I put the little transducer in for the oil pressure, plugged right in, and then I ended up pulling the fuel pressure that was coming out right there. I ended up just kind of undoing the tape and unlooming it a little bit and pulled the wires out right there, and so that I can bring them over to my fuel pressure sensor, and then I just retaped everything back up. Those wires there, I'll just have to get a little more loom and put it on there, but everything out here in the engine bay is 100% done, plugged in, ready to go. And I had a few things I had to do with some wires for like the fuel pump. So I got all that taken care of and ended up, so inside that box you will find this harness here, and it's just 2 red and black wires. It's your main power harness, and it clearly states on the label on the other end where the wire needs to be crimped with terminals that it's direct battery connection. So direct to the negative and direct to the positive. It's the only way I do it. The harness is really long. It's drooped all the way from there. It goes out the front, comes all the way along. You can see it hanging on the ground there, and comes up into the back where I have my battery. And I can honestly have my battery all the way in the back there, and the harness will be long enough. So they give you the terminals, and they give you little pieces of heat shrink tube. I solder all my terminals just because it's the best way to do it. So both terminals are soldered. Those are connected. Nothing's plugged into the actual Terminator. There's the panel, just kind of rough right now, just so I can see if I even like it, or if I'm gonna, where I'm gonna put relays on it and stuff. I did end up putting the power and the start button just temporarily, or it may stay permanently. And I found these, I've had these laying around. They're just little U-clamps, almost like exhaust clamps, that I've had for a very long time. And they go right on the roll bar real nice. So that's the dash bar. They are really long, but I could trim that back. That's not a big deal. Like I said, I don't know that panel's final or gonna stay or not gonna stay. But I would end up probably doing like rubber caps over, cut those down and put little rubber caps over them or something to kind of dress it up, or maybe not leave it at all. But the Terminator's ECU, it's mounted right there. And then the other day, what I did with the handheld, like I said, it comes with a handheld 3.5 inch, which is cool. I ended up making a little bracket out of aluminum, just a piece of 1/8 inch, 2 inch wide flat stock, and I put a brake down there, and then I put a brake up here, and then used real nice little button head screws, and drilled through the back of the plastic case that the screen slides down in, and then screwed them onto there. And again, may just be temporary, it may stay, I'm not really sure, but I tried to mount it like as if you were sitting in here. Obviously the steering wheel is slid down, it's not finished yet, but to where I'd be able to see the screen, but it wouldn't be in my way, and I can bend this bracket up a bunch more if it's too low for the steering wheel. But I'll get all that done when the steering wheel is done, and obviously I have a ton more wiring to clean up, and mounting of a couple other switches and stuff like that, but a lot of cleanup to do. But everything's in, so now oh, what's really cool is the fuel pump wire. So this was something I said I had to look into, and I just couldn't remember entirely. But this green wire right here coming out of the harness is actually for fuel pump, and it's a 12-volt feed. So you can trigger a relay with that wire there, like a key on switched 12-volt on the relay. It's already in the harness, so you're not actually having to use a output to run that. It'll also do pulse width modulation. Some fuel pumps can do that. Some fuel pumps can't do that. So you have to be very careful that you check and make sure that the pump you get, like Walbros, a lot of people use Walbros, they will not work with pulse width modulation. It's not recommended that they'll work. Not to say they won't work, but it's not recommended that you do that. So here's the main ECU harness, right? So you got the two plugs that plug into the ECU itself, and then you come down the line and you have your inputs and outputs plug, and it's already in there. You just have to pull this cap off, which is kind of cool. That comes with a little cap. And then you run down some more. The wideband that comes out of the harness up there, and I already have it all plugged in. Then there's these four wires. The blue with a white stripe, we're not using. I don't remember what exactly. It's CAN bus. I believe it's CAN bus. So we're worried about these three right here. There's a solid red wire, and it's labeled fuse. Right on the wire, I don't know if this is going to focus or not, but you can kind of see that little black smudge right there. It's labeled fuse. So this is your 12-volt battery feed to the ECU. Then the red with a white is labeled switched. So this is your 12-volt switched signal, key on, basically. And then the black one, obviously, is ground. Make sure it's a clean ground, not what they would consider to be like a dirty ground where you have coils grounded and all kinds of other stuff. Same with the 12-volt switched. You don't want it coming off of a source that's, say, feeding, the ECU or feeding, whatever. It needs to be clean, like it's kind of its own dedicated 12-volt source, key on source. So I use those little bus blocks, the fuse panels, ATC fuse panels. I like them. They work good for me, and I can keep everything separated. I don't have to keep piggybacking stuff onto it. And then I make little labels for what's what, and it keeps it pretty simple. Again, all of it needs to be cleaned up again. But I also label them. I don't know if you can see it. Can't see it. Yeah, you kind of see it. 12-volt switched and battery, so that I don't mess that up. So, but I went ahead and I put the terminals on the ends of all three of the wires. So all I have to do is feed the wires into the bus connections. They're just female connectors that I crimped on. And I do use good crimpers, so they're crimped properly and they don't just yank back out on you. So I'm going to put that one in where I used to have the old ECM, and this one in where I had the old ECM. That's my two 12 volts are taken care of. The ground, I'll have to finagle up to the ground block, which I use one of those strips, and they're kind of jumpered across. But then that big black wire there actually runs out and goes all the way back to the battery. So it's a direct battery ground kind of connection there. So I'll do that. I'll put that ground on because I need two hands to do that. I'll do that, and then we'll plug everything into the ECU and we'll go from there. Alright, so I'm back. So I got the ground wire connected up there on my block. So that's all done. And then the main harness, which is long in my case. So we are gonna take it and we're gonna snap these plugs in, and they'll only go in one slot. So you got one over here on the far side. Sorry for the camera. The other camera broke or something, and I'm using my cell phone, so sorry. So that one goes in, nice big click. That means it's snapped into place. And then this one here goes in, nice big click, goes into place, clean it off. So that is it. The Terminator is actually hooked up, other than the main plug harness, which goes right here. And again, it also just clicks in, and that's it. Other than, you know, zip tying, putting some stuff together, clean it up a little bit, but that's not a big deal. The inputs and outputs we'll do, I'll do them later in kind of a separate video, and I'll show like going through programming them and stuff. So this will be the first push of the button, and hopefully if everything is done right, it will turn on and the screen will come up. I'll move the steering wheel. Simple enough, slides right off, because that's how all steering wheels should be. So this button turns everything on in the truck. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything turns on like it's supposed to. And there you can see the ECUs lighting up. Kind of has a red light on it. Oh, I didn't plug in the handheld. So the handheld goes, where is it? There's a little plug, and it's way down there. So being that I don't have, I don't have any kind of strippers, cutters, or nothing. Hold on one second. Alright, sorry. So now the handheld, I undid the wire, I looped it kind of behind everything, down, super long wire, which, you know, it's nice. So it's plugged into the harness where it's labeled CAN. That's where you plug it in. Can't really see it, but it's the only plug right there. It says CAN on it. So you plug that in. So now we'll turn everything on. And the screen comes up. So I'm gonna shut the flash off because it's really bright on the screen. So I'll shut this off. Hold on. All right, so hopefully that's better. So it comes up, perform TPS auto set before startup. You click OK. Go over here to wizard, TPS auto set, make sure ignition is on and engine is not started. Slowly press pedal to floor, then release. Do this twice. So you press it all the way down, and then bring it all the way back. Press it all the way down, and bring it all the way back. TPS auto set was successful. Done. Whoops. Sorry. So now you go to the wizard, and you go to the what did it say? All right, well, let me go back. But you go to the G global file, basically is what it stands for. MPFI, 8-cylinder, 8726543 cubic inches. I'm gonna do it liters, metric, 6 liter. It's just a little bit easier. You can use the slide bar and bring it over, get it kind of close, and then use the little tappy arrows, bring it down to 6 liter. Target idle speed. We probably want, I don't have too radical of a cam in this, So probably gonna do like a 760, 770 for now. Camshaft spec, I'm pretty sure I'm like a 240 degree, so we'll select 2 on that. 24X. Injectors, I have other injectors, which I believe we'll have to set up with through the laptop, but well, it has custom injectors, car fluid flow rate times, yeah, in the PC software, which I've already done in my laptop. But for now, I'm gonna select the FIC 1650s. It's really hard to see, sorry. Go to next, turbo, go to next. So in here it only has the GM 2.5 bar, but I'm over that. I'm using the, it's like a 3.3, but again, we could do that in the software. So wide open throttle, ignition timing at 0 psi. So I'm probably gonna do somewhere around 31, you know, something like that. Oops. Yeah. So like a 31. Timing retard per boost. So I'm going to play it safe to begin with. And I'm going to say half a degree per pound of boost. So we have to clear it. Do 0.5. Save. So now it shows you 21 psi, which that's probably a little bit high. 21.1 for 21 psi for me. So I'm gonna up that and try and get that 21 pounds of boost, you know, close to like 14.8. You know, that should be somewhat safe. So then we'll go next. Target AFR at 0 psi. So you want to be like a, you know, like a 12.8, somewhere right around there. You'll have to fine tune all of this. AFR offset per 7 pounds of boost. So I want, you know, roughly at 21 pounds. I want to see it, you know, again, to be safe. You know, we'll call it like an 11.3. So 14.8 is 11.8. These are things that you could all change in the software. Software's free. So the next screen says start. So now it's flashing it in to the ECU. See the lights are all pretty. And then it comes up, cycle the ignition to complete the operation. Hit OK. Hit OK. So I usually wait, you know, I don't know, 10-15 seconds. Make sure all the lights go out. Cycle it back up. Now you can hear my fuel pump's running. It just stopped running. So we'll go to monitor. We'll go to multi-gauge. We'll do vitals. So now it comes up. And there's your screen. You know, like I said, I haven't set anything up. Inputs, outputs, which would be fan, boost. You know, a couple other things. But we are gonna try and start it. So, fingers crossed. Almost. So don't hear my fuel pumps running. Oh, no. All right. Here's why you don't get in a hurry. Because you make dopey mistakes. So I plugged into wideband. So I have a wideband here. This is my AEM. And me being a dope. This is my Holley wideband. So it's not actually in there yet. So I'm gonna have to put it in there, and I'll be right back. Okay. So I took the AEM one out, and I put the Bosch sensor that comes with the Holley kit. Just because I didn't want to have to pull the plug back out and do all that. So now we can go ahead and try it again. But it does run. It did run. Just probably super rich. So now, okay. And so now I see the air fuel is coming down, so it's working. And now it's gonna go. I think we flooded her. Hey, so I want to do a quick update. Actually, the map sensor, I don't have a cable. The USB cable that you need to hook up your laptop to be able to make adjustments. Otherwise, you could take the SD card out, put it in. It's kind of a pain in the butt. So what I did was I just changed to like a stock GM map sensor. So just in doing that, still on the FIC 1650 injectors. I had the truck running, so it's up to temperature now. It's 172. I haven't really played with anything other than that, but we'll see how it starts. So it starts right up. Idle's good, right about where I want it. The timing's off. Air fuel's a little rich. And that's most likely the map. You can see the map's not reading correctly. But yeah, I mean that's it. It's a killer little box. Good setup. We'll do the inputs and outputs. I'll get the map sensor figured out. I'll get the cable and everything. So I got some work to do, but it does run. Not very good yet, but I got some work to do. I'll figure it out, and we'll get back to you. But that's it for now. We really appreciate you guys watching. Hit like, subscribe, leave us some comments. I enjoy reading the comments. I enjoy interacting with people. But leave us some comments, like, subscribe, hit the little bell, the notification bell, and we really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Thank you. See you soon.